today on State versus Jerry Karpovich on multiple files, file 22 CR 1158, 23 CR 550, 23 CR 794, 23 CR 1009, 23 CR 1022, and finally 23 CR 1133. We're here today for sentencing in all these matters. The State of Ohio has had the opportunity to review the pre-sentence investigation report and is prepared to go forward. Thank you.
All right, this case was set for sentencing on February 1. In advance of that date, Mr. Peterson filed a motion to continue on behalf of Mr. Karpovich, asking that it be continued because Mr. Karpovich was scheduled for surgery on February 6th. So at the end of that hearing, after quite a while, I continued it to afford the opportunity for the surgery. It was set sometime in March. In advance to today. Mr. Peterson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Well, you know, you revoked the defendant's bond on these six cases after you were kind enough to continue his case for sentencing. Your Honor, the only way I can tell you how I feel, and I truly feel this way about Jerry, because I have met with him many times, his significant other who's in the back of the courtroom, he's one of the very few defendants that I've represented that is so severely addicted to drugs. And that's what drove him to do what he did in these cases. Now,
Even though he doesn't think he should have been charged with anything because it should be a crime because it's all for his use.
and that's,
I heard that for a half hour last time. Go ahead.
and that's, you know what, Judge? I knew you were going to say that because that's so typical of a person that's in his position. He knows he's going to prison. He knows he screwed up. He let his family down. He let his friends down. He even let me down. Because when I heard he picked up the new case, I was so mad I wouldn't talk to him. But you know, I've talked to him since, and believe it or not, other than addicted to drugs, and that is such a disease, such an illness that he's got. Aside from that, if you knew him other than that, he's the nicest guy in the world. He really is. But he's got this problem, and we need to help him with it. I'm going to ask you not to throw him away.
How on God's green earth can I help him if he won't bother to and is not concerned with helping himself? Go ahead.
How do I answer that question?
I have no idea. That's why I asked
I'm
you the question.
struggling to figure out an answer. Maybe this time that you send him to prison, when he's away from all these friends and all these drugs, that'll help. That's all we could do. We could help.
Maybe all the people he hangs around with will be better off since he's not around.
No question. How could I argue that? Of course. There's no question about that. But I'm going to just say to you, Judge, you know me a long time. We just finished the case. I'm going to ask you to take into consideration his age, 45 years of age. He's been involved in drugs all his life. And I'm going to tell you something. As you know, you had his brother, who you gave many, many years in prison. His whole family's involved in drugs. That's how he grew up. I'm going to ask you to take into consideration whatever facts you can in relation to this defendant as far as his involvement. Never had a crime of violence that I know. I don't think he's ever had a crime of violence, always drug related. I'm going to ask you to search your mind and your heart to see what's the best thing to do for him. And he would like to address the court.
Go ahead.
I owe the court an apology. You're absolutely right. I don't hold myself accountable. When Judge Malczewski gave me an OR bond, I thought I was going to get out of jail again for a couple of days to find out that my couple bonds here got revoked. I was so angry. I didn't have anything nice to say about the court or the whole situation. Then they let AA come back into the jail. I attended the 2 meetings back-to-back Wednesdays, and something Billy said was something about you got to just tell one less lie a day. And I told my family that that the last case that I caught, that the police confiscated a couple $1,000s. Well, that's not true. I lied. I spent the money. I spent the money on drugs. And then, once I got my family on the phone, I told my son and I told my girlfriend, it's their responsibility now at this point to save the house, which could potentially be headed back into foreclosure. And at that point, I realized that, yes, my drug use not only is it affecting my son, my girlfriend, taxpayers, you, this attorney, the prosecutor, it's affecting everyone around me, everybody, even people that aren't around me. So not only am I not going to be present to help financially in my home with my family, any leadership qualities that I do possess aren't going to be in the home. Not to mention just the chores, being the man of the house, the grass cutting, the gutters cleaning, anything that the tenants need, and now I'm going to be an emotional drain on my family and a financial drain. Plus now everybody's got to step it up to fill in the gap where I've so selfishly taken for myself and claimed to not have done anything wrong, in essence. Apologize to the courts. I know that I'm going to prison.
You knew that last time. You knew that on February 1st, right?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
How does surgery go?
Didn't complete the surgery
Why not?
because I used drugs again.
Okay, so I continued that February 1st sentencing to afford you the opportunity to have the scheduled surgery on February 6th, because you stood there and told me how bad the condition was, had Mr. Peterson go to bat for you and tell you how you needed the surgery because they would do a lousy job in the prison system. You took off your sling, took off the package, and showed me how bad it was. So I continued that hearing for about 6 weeks so you could get the surgery 5 days later and recover. Right? Isn't that what I did?
90% of it is accurate. I was meeting with the orthopedic surgeon for them to determine whether or not I needed surgery. But yes, you're
Well,
right.
that's not the
Yes.
information communicated to me, okay? Maybe you should have told me on February 1st that you were to meet with them.
I'm
Okay?
fairly certain
All right, so how did your meeting go on February 6th?
never happened, Your Honor, because I
Right.
started using drugs again.
Okay. So that leads me to my next question. As I listened to you talk for about 3 minutes, why in the world would I believe any of what you told me?
I don't know how to answer that, Your Honor.
Answer it as best you can.
can't.
I don't know how to answer that question. I mean, I guess expected me to be a drug addict when I behaved like a drug addict. I don't really have a, I don't know how to answer it, Your Honor.
I tell you what, I was sick of it on February 1st, and I'm sick of it now, okay? Because everything that you say, everything that you do revolves around you playing the part of the hapless drug addict who can't do anything about it. And I'm sick and tired of it. The reason that you don't do anything about it is because you don't do anything about it. In the last 2 days, 2 separate cases, I've had 2 young ladies who were terrible, terrible heroin addicts who've been off it for the space of about 4 or 5 years. So what they did was they did something about it. You don't want to do anything about it. You like to wallow in your own self-pity. That's what you do best. And you come here and tell me how mad you were last week when I revoked your bond. And then how all of a sudden Billy came in and now you see the light. That's nonsense. Go on, roll your eyes and shake your head. I don't care, okay? Because you've earned the position you're in, which is for me to never believe another word you ever say. You've earned that. That doesn't come easy. Anything else you'd like to say?
No, Your Honor.
Sit down.
Be careful.
Mr. Geigrich?
Thank you, Your Honor. The state of Ohio had an agreed prison term of 3 years at the time of the plea. His recent arrest, I do believe, frees the state of Ohio from that agreement. And at this point, the state of Ohio would ask us to fashion a sentence that would be appropriate for this conduct that he's been before and after. Plus, I would ask you to think about his comments that he made in the pre-sentence investigation as to his remorse to these crimes. And the last thing I would add is that anything less than actual incarceration would demean the seriousness of these offenses. Thank you.
Well, it's mandatory incarceration on
Yeah.
1133, right?
Yes.
All right, I've reviewed the pre-sentence report, the drug and alcohol evaluation. I've considered all the provisions in 292911, 292912, 292913, and 292914. Considered what was said in court by the defendant on February 1st and today. Considered what was said by Mr. Peterson on both those days, Mr. Geigrich on both those days. And have observed and concluded that you're the ultimate con man. On the 221158, you were caught with crack, meth, pills, and a scale. 23550, meth. 231022, heroin and meth. 23794, meth, crack, and powder cocaine. 231009, heroin, crack, scale with residue, 400 in cash, 263 in cash, 25 in cash. 231133, 8.9 grams of crack, 22.2 grams of baking soda. Can't imagine what that's for. 23.8 grams of cocaine, 2.4 grams of meth, a digital scale, and a glass measuring cup. Can't imagine what the baking soda, the scale, and the measuring cup were for. What was the baking soda for?
Turning cocaine into smokable crack.
What was the scale for?
For making sure I purchased I got what I purchased, and for if I attempted to sell something, that I gave them what they paid for.
And what was the glass measuring cup for?
For turning powder cocaine into crack.
So I think we had a discussion on February 1st about the scale. And this is the first time you told me that to make sure what the amount you were selling was correct.
Sure.
You didn't tell me that last time.
Because I'm a frickin' liar.
What?
Because I'm a frickin' liar.
You are. It's the first thing I believe you in what you said in 2 hearings. Good. On 22/11/58, on count 1, the F3, I sentence you to 36 months in prison. On count 2, the felony 2, I sentence you to a definite minimum of 4 years up to an indefinite maximum of 6 years in prison. Those 2 counts will be concurrent to one another. Credit for 6 days. On 23/5/50, sentence you to 12 months in prison. Credit for 6 days. That will be concurrent to 22/11/58. On 23/10/22, 36 months in prison, credit 13 days, concurrent to 23/5/50 and 22/11/50.
Your Honor, which file? You said 22?
23/10/22.
1022.
Oh, this one.
36 months, credit 13, concurrent to 23/5/50 and 22/11/58.
Wow. Good.
Is that the one?
On 23/7/94, 24 months, credit 14 days. On 23/10/09, 12 months, concurrent to 23/10/22, concurrent to 23/5/50, concurrent to 22/11/58. And on 23/11/33, sentence of a definite minimum of 6 years up to an indefinite maximum of 9 years. 23/11/33 and 23/7/94 will be consecutive to one another and concurrent to all the remaining cases. Now, on your definite minimum, there's a presumption you should be released after that minimum term. Whether you serve any of the additional up to the indefinite maximum is the determination made by the Department of Corrections based on your behavior and activity while you are in prison. There's also a $7,500 fine imposed that's mandatory on 23/11/33. 11/33 gets credit for 4 days. Now, when you get out, you'll be on post-release control for 2 years up to 5 years with conditions placed upon you by the Adult parole authority, if you violate those conditions, a parole authority could return you to prison for up to 9 months for each violation, up to 1/2 of my sentence. If your violation is a new felony, you could get an additional consecutive prison sentence for that violation, the maximum of which would be the greater of 12 months or the time you have left under post-release control. With regard to the consecutive sentence, consecutive sentences are necessary to protect the public from future crime by you and to sufficiently punish you, and they are not disproportionate to the seriousness of your conduct and the danger you pose to the public, despite your protestations to that you're only a danger to yourself. Your history of criminal conduct demonstrates that consecutive sentences are necessary to protect the public from future crime by you, and some of these offenses were committed while other cases were pending. At least 2 of these offenses were committed as part of 1 or more courses of conduct, and the harm caused by at least 2 of the offenses committed was so great or unusual, no single prison term for any of the offenses committed as part of any course of conduct adequately reflects the seriousness of your offense. Whatever items are subject to forfeiture are forfeited to the state. Is there anything else, Mr. Geiglich?
Nothing, Your Honor, thank you.
Your Honor, if I may, the total sentence that this defendant received is how many years?
There's going to be a 2-year sentence or a 24-month sentence on 23-794, followed by a 6 to 9-year sentence on 23-1133, and all the rest are concurrent.
So it's an 8-year total.
Correct.
And is the sentence in 1133, the 6 years, totally mandatory?
Yes.